When I caught my wife mid-cheating, I calmly arranged for a nondescript delivery to arrive at her lover's apartment. Inside was irrefutable proof of her betrayal, photos, messages, and a GPS tracker. And the moment they tore open that box and saw our kids' testimonials, sheer panic set in as their world imploded. I really apologized, Mr. Walker. It's tough for me to deliver bad news to people like you, John Michaels said, handing me the envelope. Inside was a detailed report of what my wife had been doing with her ex-boss, Grant Jacobs. The envelope also had a bunch of photos and a DVD. I checked out the photos, but hadn't watched the DVD yet. Part of me was hesitant, but I knew it was important to face what John had found. Any idea how long this has been going on? I asked. John looked back at his report. Based on the evidence we found, it's been at least 10 years, John explained. Could even be up to 12. Looks like it started around the time your wife was up for that top job. That was roughly a year after our daughter Sophie was born. Despite this, I knew I had to get DNA tests to check if the children were biologically mine. Then another concern hit me. What about the risk of STDs? The investigation revealed that Grant had been involved with many married women besides Linda. Considering Linda and I had been together after she stopped working, I worried what she could have passed on to me over the years. It was clear I needed medical tests done quickly. Glancing over the report again, I couldn't help but feel a grim satisfaction at John's observation that Linda seemed unaware of what her lover was up to when he wasn't with her. Just so you know, Mr. Walker, Grant said he never meant to break up your marriage, John informed me. And they never did anything at your place. I'd had John install cameras and mics in our house when I hired him. At least our bedroom hadn't been tainted with Grant's presence, I thought. Thanks for telling me, Mr. Michaels, I replied. I had met Grant Jacobs a few times and hadn't cared for him much. Sure, he was good-looking, but he was also rude and had a smirk that rubbed me the wrong way. I'd had to stop myself from wiping that smirk off his face more than once. Now I knew the reason behind his smugness. There's more, Mr. Walker, John continued. According to what we observed and heard, Grant's sister, Natalie, has known about their affair from the start. It seems she might have even helped them. That saddened me a bit, as I always thought Natalie was a decent person, the total opposite of her brother. Man, I murmured quietly. So, have you talked to a lawyer yet? John inquired. Not yet, I replied. I wanted to get the facts straight first. Well, I do a lot of work for Lisa Hawkins. She's top-notch, especially when it comes to dealing with cheaters. If you're interested, I can shoot this over to her office and give her a heads up that you'll be dropping by, John offered. That'd be great, I said. Thanks. I'll reach out to her office and set up a meeting. John handed me his business card, and I tucked it into my pocket. Mind if I give you some advice? John asked. Sure, I nodded. Let Lisa handle this. I know you're hurting right now, and you might feel like lashing out, but don't. It's not worth landing yourself in trouble. This isn't just some online story. It's real life, and you've got 2 kids to think about, he advised. I get it. Thanks, I said. I settled my bill and left his office, feeling like my entire marriage had been a sham. Even though I knew John was right, the pain was still intense. I sat in my car and cried for about 15 minutes. Once I composed myself, I took out the business card he gave me and dialed the law offices of Lisa Hawkins to schedule an appointment for the next day. Lisa provided me with a checklist of documents to bring, mainly financial statements. On the way home, I stopped at a convenience store and bought a pack of cigarettes, something I hadn't done since college. Then I headed to a bar and attempted to drown my sorrows in a beer. I'm not much of a drinker, but I figured I deserved it just this once. You doing okay, buddy? The bartender asked as I took a drag from my cigarette. I glanced up at him before responding. Can you tell? I replied. Unfortunately, he said, offering a small grin. Let me guess, just found out your wife's been unfaithful? Spot on, I nodded. For a good 12 years. Can you believe it? Believe it or not, I can, he replied. Seen and heard all since I started working here. No doubt, I agreed. He chuckled softly. Mind if I share something my grandpa used to say, he asked. Go ahead, I encouraged. He'd say, I felt bad because I had no shoes, then I met a guy with no feet. I know you're hurting now, been there myself, but it does get better. And trust me, there's folks out there who've had it way worse than you, he shared. Your grandpa sounds like a wise man, I remarked. He sure was, the bartender affirmed. Finish your beer, then head on home, son. Handle your business, do what needs doing. You won't find any answers at the bottom of that glass, believe me on that. I grinned and nodded in agreement. Deep down, I knew this seasoned bartender was speaking the truth. As I sipped my beer, I pondered. Never would have thought Linda would cheat on me. Over the years, there were small signs, nothing conclusive alone, but when I pieced it all together, it made sense. Take, for instance, after our second kid, Sophie, was born, I got a vasectomy. Linda went back on birth control, which struck me as odd. I asked her about it. Why use birth control when I'd already taken care of things? She gave me a story about being extra cautious and how the pills regulated her period. Not being an expert, I bought it. Then, over the years, as she traveled more for work, I noticed her attire wasn't exactly businesslike. She hinted that entertaining might be a big part of her role. Looking back now, it's clear she was entertaining Grant. It seemed like a significant aspect of her job. All right. I would often call her in the evenings when she was away. I found it odd that she was always in her room when I called, but there were moments when I thought I heard a man's voice nearby. Sometimes I heard Linda's voice break as she spoke. At the time, I couldn't explain it, but if Grant was touching her or being intimate with her while she talked to me on the phone, that would make sense. There were occasions when I noticed the faint scent of Grant's aftershave on Linda's clothes when she returned home. I recognized it because I smelled it on him every time we met, and it made me almost sick. I could only imagine that happening if she was in close contact with him. Then there were the Friday afternoons she supposedly worked after supposedly retiring. My special skills are still needed, so they've kept me on for one afternoon a week, though I might have to travel sometimes, she explained when I inquired. It's just business, she added. Now I realize her special skills involved more intimate activities, and it was far from just business. To make matters worse, her one afternoon a week turned into 2 or even 3, and she often didn't get home until 9 o'clock or 10 p.m. Her business trips increased from once a month to 2 or 3 times, often spanning the entire weekend. So much for retirement. Linda's behavior towards me hadn't changed at all. She was still just as kind and affectionate as she was when we first got married. She seemed to enjoy spending time with the kids and me at home, which was a welcome relief because I had taken on most of the childcare duties due to her hectic schedule. I've been grappling with this issue for a while now, so I decided to hire John's agency to look into what Linda's been up to, and now my worst suspicions have been confirmed. The only thing left to figure out is how to divide everything. If it had been a one-time mistake made under the influence, I might have been able to forgive and move on. Sure, I would have been angry, but it wouldn't have been a deal breaker. But this was a deliberate, ongoing betrayal that lasted over a decade, and now it was time for someone to be held accountable. I stubbed out my cigarette, finished my beer, and left, giving the bartender a nod and a generous tip for his time. When I got home, I noticed Linda's car in the garage. Frankly, I was surprised to see her there. I closed the garage door and went inside, taking off my jacket and heading for my home office. Linda caught me on the way and immediately noticed the smell of cigarettes and beer. "You've been smoking," she said, her brows furrowed. "And I smell beer. Is everything okay, John?" "No, to be honest, it's not. Today has been one of the worst days of my life," I replied. "What happened? Did something terrible happen?" she asked, seeming genuinely concerned, though I couldn't help but wonder if it was genuine. "Something," I replied. "I'm going to spend the evening in my office. I don't think I'll be good company tonight. Is there anything I can do, sweetheart?" she asked. "Yeah, I thought undo what you've done." "Afraid there's nothing you can do?" I said. "By the way, John, I'll be away this weekend, starting Friday," she mentioned. It was only Tuesday, and she was already telling me she was leaving for another weekend again. "Didn't you just go on a weekend trip?" I questioned. "Yes, but something came up," she explained. "It's just business, you know." "I see," I replied sarcastically. "What about Sophie's birthday party?" "It's this Saturday." "I know," she acknowledged. "But I can't avoid this. Could you please explain to her why I won't be there?" "Please. I'm not covering for you anymore," I told her firmly. "You missed Erin's birthday and our anniversary last year. You can explain to our daughter why you'd rather be on a trip with Grant than celebrating her birthday here." Linda wasn't pleased with my response and let out a heavy sigh before speaking. "John, please, you're being unreasonable," she protested. "No, Linda," I persisted. "You supposedly retired months ago after your company was sold, but you've been away so much that I can't help but wonder what's really going on. Is there something you want to tell me? What are you implying? Are you accusing me of having an affair?" She retorted defensively. "How would you feel if the roles were reversed?" I countered. She seemed to ease up a bit after that. "I see your point," she conceded. "But trust me, it's just business." "That's what you keep saying," I responded. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have things to do." Please don't interrupt me. You'll have to take care of the kids tonight." I retreated into my home office, shutting and locking the door. I heard Linda attempt to open it. "John," she called out. "Please, John, talk to me." "Leave me alone, Linda." I gritted through my teeth. "I'm busy." I heard her walk away and begin gathering the information Lisa had requested. Then I turned to the evidence John had provided. As I read the report, it was hard to believe this was the woman I had loved and supported for the past 12 years. I put on my headphones and started the DVD. Unless you've been in my shoes, you can't understand the mix of emotions when you see the person you love giving themselves to someone else, willingly. I didn't care how John got those videos. All I knew was that any love I once had for Linda was now gone. As I watched her with Grant on the screen, I swore to myself that I would never touch her again. I listened to their conversation. "Are we still meeting up this weekend?" Grant asked as he held her. "Of course," Linda replied with a smile. "You know I can't go too long without having you inside me." "What about your daughter's birthday party? Isn't that this weekend?" he inquired. "Yes, but John will handle it," she said. "He's better with the kids than I am." Besides, if I have to choose between dealing with a bunch of bratty girls or being here with you, I'd rather be with you. You know I enjoy having you here, Linda, but I'm worried he might start getting suspicious, Grant expressed. You're supposed to be retired, remember? I've told you, Grant, retired or not, I'm not giving up our thing, she replied, caressing him. I love my family and John, but what we've shared these last 12 years means everything to me. I'm glad to hear that, Grant responded. Remember when we started this? You said you'd choose John and your kids if you had to? Do you still feel that way? I honestly don't know, she admitted. It's never come up. I don't know how you've kept him in the dark all this time, Grant mused. If he ever finds out, it won't be pretty. It wasn't easy at first, but I've learned to keep my business life separate, she explained. I've never denied him anything, and I treat him well. If he finds out, I'll just threaten him in the divorce. It might not be that simple, Grant warned. But if things go south, you can stay here if you want. I like having you around. Thanks, Grant. I'm grateful for that. But I don't think anything will happen. He hasn't caught on in 12 years, and I doubt he ever will. How long do you plan to keep this going? He asked. As long as I can. Maybe for the rest of my life, she declared. Maybe you'll get your wish, I thought to myself. As I closed the video, I stashed the DVD back in my briefcase and heard Linda knock on the office door. What? I responded. The kids are going to bed, she informed me. Can you at least come out and say goodnight to them? Yeah, just a sec, I replied. I shut down my computer, went upstairs, and tucked the children in, trying to smile. Sophie gave me a funny look. Are you okay, Dad? She asked. Yeah, I assured her with a smile. I'm fine. Go to sleep now, sweetheart. I love you. I love you too, she said, kissing me. After leaving her room, I went downstairs and grabbed a cup of coffee. I kept some food warm for you, John, Linda mentioned. I'm not hungry, I replied, stepping out back. I sat in a deck chair on the patio and lit a cigarette. Linda joined me a couple minutes later. She tried to kiss me, but I turned my head, so she kissed my cheek. There was no way I was going to kiss the lips that had been on Grant Jacobs's tool. She looked at me, surprised. Tell me what's on your mind, John, please. You seem really troubled, she said, her expression filled with concern. This isn't like you at all, and, you know I don't like seeing you smoke. You quit back in college. Yeah, well, life doesn't always go our way, does it? I retorted. What do you mean by that? She inquired. I just shook my head, remaining silent. John, please open up to me. I love you. You can tell me anything, she implored. I glanced at her through the smoke and shook my head. It's too late for that now, I confessed. Too late for what? I don't understand, she pressed. You're savvy in business, I stated. You can figure it out. Now please give me some space. I need to sort things out. But maybe I can help if you let me in, she pleaded. Linda, please, I need you to respect my space, I said, my frustration evident. I softened my tone a bit, realizing I might be giving too much away. Sorry for snapping. Work's been rough, and it's really weighing on me. Maybe in a couple of days. It felt wrong lying to her, but I reasoned why not. It's fair to lie to a liar, right? All right, she replied quietly, tears streaming down her face. Then she hurried inside, sobbing. I smoked 2 more cigarettes before heading indoors. I took a shower to wash away the smoke smell, put on some pajamas I rarely wore, and got into bed. Linda lay on her side, reaching out to me under the covers. I pushed her hand away, refusing her advances for the first time in our marriage. John, she started. I turned away, declining to give her a goodnight kiss. Good night, Linda, I muttered. She turned away, crying. At that moment, I didn't care. As far as I was concerned, she could go straight to hell. The next morning, I got up, took a shower, got dressed, and packed my things for work. I spent some time with the kids before they headed off to school, then left the house without acknowledging Linda. She gave me a strange look as I headed out the door. Don't I get a goodbye kiss anymore? She asked as I opened the door. Sorry, I replied, blowing her a kiss. I love you. I love you too, she said. Yeah, same here, I muttered as I walked out. At the office, I tried to focus on work, but it was tough. I briefed my boss on the situation, and he sympathized, having gone through a divorce himself. Do what you need to do, he said. If you need time off, just let me know. I thanked him and got back to work, leaving early for my meeting with Lisa. Good afternoon, Mr. Walker. She greeted me as I entered her office. Lisa Hawkins seemed to be around my age, with long blonde hair. I noticed the rings on her finger and assumed she was married. Please call me John, I said, shaking her hand. And you can call me Lisa, she replied. I've reviewed the report Mr. Michaels sent over. I'm sorry you're going through this. It's a common issue I deal with, but it's always distressing. How are you holding up? I'm not doing too well. Honestly, I admitted. I understand, she sympathized. Have you talked to her about it yet? Not yet, but I wasn't very nice to her last night, I confessed. I recommend trying to keep things civil for now. I know it's tough, given what you know, but it's best not to let on that you're aware. Let her carry on as usual. She'll realize when she's served with the divorce papers. Can you handle that? You're right. It'll be tough, really tough, I acknowledged. But I'll do my best. Good, Lisa nodded. Now, what are your goals for this divorce? I want to get as much as I can, I asserted. especially custody of the kids, if they're actually mine. You do know that mothers usually get custody, right? She pointed out. I've been their main caregiver for the past decade. I countered, and she admitted on the video that I'm a better parent than her. Her choice to be with her lover instead of her daughter on her birthday should count for something. It does, and we can use that, Lisa agreed. She reviewed the financial documents I provided, jotting down notes. It seems your wife got a hefty sum from the company's sale. The monthly dividend she's receiving matches your salary. This works in our favor. So does that mean no spousal support? I inquired. Or very little, Lisa confirmed. She's still young and capable of working. Plus, if we secure custody for you, we might be able to get child support from her. What about the house? I asked. If we manage to secure custody for you, you can continue living in the house, and we can request that she covers half of the mortgage. But there's a chance the court might grant her custody. In that case, you'd have to cover half of the mortgage along with child support, she explained. The only other option will be to sell the house and split the proceeds between the two of you. What about our retirement and bank accounts? I inquired. We can simplify things by leaving retirement accounts out of the equation. You both keep your 401ks. Everything else will be divided equally, which is typically what a judge would order, she clarified. What about Grant Jacobs? Can I take legal action against him for alienation of affection? I questioned. Not in this state, she replied, but we will include him in the divorce proceedings. There might be grounds for suing him for intentional infliction of emotional distress, but it's unlikely to go far, especially in this state. And what about his sister, Natalie? She was aware of the situation the entire time, possibly even facilitated it. I added, it's a similar situation with her. We can file if you wish, Lisa responded. Yes, please proceed. When can you file all of this? I inquired. I believe we can have it done by Friday, she assured. I'd like her to be served late Saturday afternoon. She'll be away for the weekend with Grant, I explained. I understand. A bit of shock and awe. We can arrange that, she acknowledged. But there will be an additional cost for the process server to work on Saturday. That's fine. Let's proceed with it, I agreed. Okay, John, she concluded. We concluded the meeting with a handshake after she issued me the customary warning not to do anything rash. She accepted my retainer check. I left her office feeling more confident about the situation. When I got home, I noticed Linda's car in the garage, which surprised me since it was Wednesday. I assumed she'd be at work. Feeling the warmth of the hood, it seemed she had driven recently. Inside, the smell of pot roast greeted me. Hey, sweetheart, Linda greeted from the kitchen. Back early? Everything okay? Yeah, I replied. Hope you're feeling better than yesterday, she said. A bit. I'm getting things sorted, I assured. Good. Hungry for dinner? She asked. I made pot roast, your favorite. I'll have a bit. I accepted. Smells great. Did you go to the office? Yeah, a couple of hours, she replied. Prepping for the weekend. Did you talk to Sophie? I inquired. Yeah, she's not thrilled, but she'll cope, Linda said. Where are the kids? I wondered. In their rooms, doing homework, she informed. So, still planning that trip with Grant? I pressed. Yes. Business, she stated firmly. Just business. When do you plan to retire for real? I questioned. I'm retired now. Just need for a while, she clarified. Not sure how long. Seems like you're almost full-time already, I remarked. Guess you gotta do what you got to do. What's that mean? She probed. With all the time you're giving them, you might as well be on payroll, I pointed out. Why? I'm making more now, she defended. I put my briefcase away and changed, complimented her cooking. I remembered her skills I'd missed when we split. After spending time with the kids, I locked myself in my office. Linda tried to enter, then knocked when she realized it was locked. I cracked the door, open to see her face. John, she asked, are you bunking in here tonight? I think so, I replied. Still got a bunch to go through, and I'm feeling a bit under the weather. Don't want to risk getting you sick right before your trip, so I'll crash on the futon in here. Oh, all right, she said. Take care, John. Please. I love you. Yeah, same here, I responded, shutting the door. As she walked away, I got on my computer and started to search. After finding what I needed, I filled out a form and checked my email for confirmation, noting the phone number. I set a reminder on my phone to call the next day and confirm everything. Thursday rolled around pretty much like Wednesday, except Linda tried to lure me to bed with a sheer nightgown that left nothing to the imagination. Despite her appeal, knowing what she'd been up to with Grant ended any attraction I had. Sorry, Linda. Got a bad migraine, I murmured. Go and take something and crash here in the office. A tear rolled down her cheek as she walked off, but I couldn't care less. The next day at noon, she called to say she was off. Hope you're feeling better, John, she said. Maybe we'll reconnect when I'm back Monday. Parents will pick up the kids today and drop them off tomorrow for Sophie's party. Thanks for the heads up, I replied. I love you, John, she said. I hope you believe that. Yeah, I said. Have a safe trip. See you later. Goodbye, Linda. After hanging up, I called Lisa. Paperwork's getting filed now, John, she informed. They'll be served tomorrow at 5:30 at Grant's, just like you wanted. Natalie will get hers on Monday. Thanks, Lisa, I said, ending the call. I told my assistant I was done for the day, locked up, and headed home. Lots to do before the movers arrived that afternoon. I had a stack of boxes ready in the garage for the day's work. At 5 p.m., the movers showed up with their truck, just as I finished packing everything. While they loaded up, I worked on altering Linda's wedding dress. After I was done, I put the ashes in a paper bag, sealed it with a note, my wedding ring, and our torn marriage certificate inside an envelope, and handed it to one of the movers. I asked them to deliver it to Linda at Grant's house the next day at 5:30 p.m., along with two $50 bills as tips. I'll make sure this gets to her, the young man assured me. Thanks, I replied. Later, I heated up some leftover pot roast and ate in the living room while watching TV. I slept well in the master bed that night. The next day at noon, Linda's parents arrived with the kids. I'd been up early, preparing for Sophie's birthday party in the backyard. Set to start around 3 p.m. Linda had ordered a cake, which I picked up earlier and stored in the fridge. You've been busy, Linda's mom remarked when she walked in. I didn't have much choice, I replied. Hopefully, everything goes smoothly. The kids will enjoy it, she reassured. Sophie mentioned Linda wouldn't be here. Yes, she did, Linda's mom confirmed. I can't believe she'd miss her own daughter's birthday. She paused, looking at me intently. Is everything all right between you two? No, it's not, I admitted. I hate to break it to you, but you'll find out soon enough. I'm divorcing Linda. What? Her dad exclaimed. Why? I found out she's been having an affair with her boss for the last 12 years. I disclosed. In fact, that's where she is right now. Oh my God, her mom gasped. Are you sure about this? I've had my suspicions for a while, especially after Linda's so-called retirement, I explained. About a month ago, I hired an investigator to dig deeper. I got a detailed report, photos, and even video evidence, if you're curious. No need for that, she declined. And you're certain you can't forgive her? Absolutely, I affirmed. Not after all this time. I'd like to see that report, George chimed in. I can't believe she'd do something so foolish. Well, you handle that. I'll finish up for Sophie's party, Rhonda offered. After thanking Rhonda, I gestured for George to join me in my home office, passing him the written report. He was visibly shocked by the content, shaking his head in disbelief. That foolish woman, he muttered, handing the report back. I'm sorry, John. She's my daughter, but this is hard to swallow. Now you understand my position, I sympathized. What's the plan with this Grant guy? He inquired. I've taken legal action against him and his sister for causing emotional distress, I informed him. He scoffed. That's it, he retorted. After 12 years of stealing your wife, he gets off easy? You know how far that lawsuit will go. I get it, George, I acknowledged. But I have to think about my kids. Ending up in jail won't help anyone. I suppose you're right, he conceded. But based on this report, it seems Grant has a thing for married women. I bet Linda isn't his first target. Probably not, I agreed. Let me handle this jerk, George suggested. He ain't worth you going to jail for. He ain't worth it, I agreed. Here's an idea, John, George proposed. Let me handle that jerk. I won't let you risk going to jail over him. I assured him, no need to fret, son. Nobody's getting locked up. George was a burly man, used to physical work. I'd met some of his co-workers, equally imposing figures who watched out for each other. What's your plan? I inquired. The less you know, the better, George replied with a wink and grin. All right, if you say so, I agreed. He grinned and gave my shoulder a hearty slap. Come on, John, let's go enjoy some time with the kids, he suggested. We headed outside to find Rhonda had everything set up for Sophie's party. When Sophie came down, her eyes lit up at the sight. Thanks, Daddy, she beamed, hugging me. This is awesome. I wish Mom could see it. Me too, I admitted. But we'll take plenty of pictures for her, okay? Okay, she agreed. I fired up the grill, cooking burgers and hot dogs for everyone. Around 4:30 p.m., the doorbell rang, signaling the beginning of the festivities. Over the next half hour, Sophie's friends arrived with their parents, all eager to join the fun. Among the last to arrive were Natalie and her husband, Ralph, with their daughter, Denise. After welcoming them inside, I directed Denise to the backyard where the party was in full swing, offering Natalie and Ralph drinks. I made conversation. I'm surprised to see you here, Natalie. Wasn't there a big business trip planned? I asked. That's Linda and Grant's gig, she clarified. I'm just providing support at the office. I see, I replied. Is everything okay between you and Linda? Natalie inquired. Why do you ask? I countered. You're not wearing your wedding ring, she observed. I glanced at my finger, realizing the absence of my ring. We returned it to her, I disclosed. Maybe Grant will have better luck keeping her loyal than I did. What's that supposed to mean? Natalie pressed. Come on, Natalie, I objected. Don't sugarcoat it. I know your brother's been seeing Linda for over a decade. You both did a great job of fooling me all this time. John, please, Linda still cares about you, Natalie insisted. Yeah, so much that she kept lying to me for 12 years. I feel so cherished right now. I retorted sarcastically. What's your plan? Natalie inquired. What do you think? I'm kicking her to the curb. She and Grant will be served soon, I replied, glancing at my watch. Sir? Natalie questioned. Yes. Linda's getting divorce papers, and I'm taking Grant to court. You'll be served on Monday, I informed her. Me? Why are you suing me? I haven't done anything. Natalie protested. Exactly, I shot back. You knew what they were up to for years. My investigator even thinks you might have helped. And all the while, you acted like my friend. You could have spoken up, but you didn't. How many times have you sat in my home, eating my food, knowing what Linda was doing with your brother? Did you enjoy making me a fool? Now my family's torn apart, and you're partly responsible. Because of you three, I'll never trust another woman again, and my kids lost their mother. I hope you're satisfied. I'm not happy about this, John, Natalie insisted. I'm sorry. Sorry is not enough, Natalie. I countered. You all conspired to wreck my family for 12 years. You didn't care how it hurt me or my kids, and now you've succeeded. That's not how it went down, Natalie defended. Really? Was it just business between you? I challenged. At first, yes, she admitted. It was Grant's idea. Linda went along because she wanted the job, but she wasn't happy. Things changed over time? So even after she sold her company and said she retired, I queried. That was all her decision, Natalie clarified. I thought it would stop, but Linda kept it going. Then she made a bad choice, I remarked. But you still played a part. I'm really sorry about that, John, Natalie apologized. None of us meant to hurt you. But you did, I stated, in the worst way possible. It's best if you gather your family and leave my house, Natalie. She nodded in understanding. I get it, John, she responded softly before heading out. Oh, and Natalie, I called after her. She turned back to me. Don't ever come back. She wiped away a tear and left to find Denise and Ralph. Linda and Grant were lying in bed when her phone buzzed, signaling a new message. Assuming it was John sending photos from Sophie's party, she quickly checked it, only to read a text from Natalie. He's on to us. Oh, damn, she blurted out. What's wrong? Grant asked. It's Natalie. John knows everything, Linda explained. I should clean up and head home. Is that a good idea? Grant questioned. Yes, Linda affirmed, throwing on a bathrobe and getting out of bed. Just then, the doorbell rang. Who could that be? Grant wondered aloud, peering out the window to see a sedan and a moving truck in the driveway. He hastily put on some clothes and a robe, with Linda following behind. Upon opening the door, they were met by a man in a light jacket. What's up? Grant inquired. Are you Grant Jacobs? The man asked. Yeah, Grant replied. And is Linda Walker here, too? That's me, Linda confirmed, stepping forward. I'll need to see some ID, the man requested. What? Grant questioned, reaching for his wallet. The man silently checked Grant's license before handing him an envelope. You've been served, the man informed him. Then, turning to Linda, he requested her identification. Sure, Linda complied, retrieving her wallet. After inspecting her license, the man handed her another envelope. You've been served, he stated, and there's a restraining order included. You both must stay at least 500 feet away from Mr. John Walker, his home, his workplace, and his children's school. Violating this order could lead to your arrest. Have a good day. With that, he departed, leaving Linda and Grant stunned as they exchanged looks. Excuse me, is Linda Walker here? Asked another man in jeans and a t-shirt. Yeah, that's me, Linda replied. The man handed her a paper bag with an envelope attached, leaving her puzzled. I was told to deliver this to you, ma'am. I've got some other boxes too, the man explained. Where should I put them? Grant and Linda exchanged a look before Grant spoke up. Just leave in the front room for now, he instructed. Thanks, sir, the man said, heading back to the truck. As they watched, the men brought in several boxes and stacked them in the front room as directed. Meanwhile, Linda opened the envelope. Inside, there was a man,